Let's talk about global functionality. I think it goes without saying that most engineers want their designs to work throughout the world. But what about designs with cellular capabilities? In that case, global functionality can get real tricky real fast. If you want global cellular functionality, you're going to want to check out Digi's XBee Global LTE CAT 4 solution. Hi, I'm Amelia Dalton, host of Chalk Talk. Global functionality for cellular enhanced applications can be a complicated process. In this episode of Chalk Talk, Alec Jahnke from Digi and I explore the details and benefits of Digi's XBee Global LTE CAT 4 solution. We also investigate the XBee programming process and how the over the air updates of Digi Remote Manager can help future proof your next cellular design. And before we get started, don't forget to click that link. There you can find even more information about this topic from Digi. Hi, Alec. Thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Glad to be back on another Chalk Talk here.
Excellent. So, we're talking about the Zigbee Global LTE Cat 4 solution today. But first, Alec, can you give us a rundown on the features of this solution?
Yeah, absolutely. The new thing here is that this is a different cellular technology that we're using with the XBee Global LTE Cat 4 module. This does have a built-in, we use the modem of a Thales PLS83W, which is a global modem. And we will be using the same PCB in our design that we have in our previous Cat 1 for customers who have used that. Some of the features that are included on this module from a cellular perspective is 2G and 3G fallback, as well as comprehensive coverage of a large list of LTE bands. And all of these come together to help this be a very global module that can be deployed globally by our customers. It also has Bluetooth Low Energy 4.2 functionality built in. This is integrated into the module on our Scilab's EFR32 chip. And we have a series of different sample scripts that can be used by our customers to help them in their development of BLE applications for use with our module. It also includes MicroPython, which can enable BLE, as well as many other applications. Just for instance, one might be, a customer with a cellular device gets charged for data, so they don't necessarily want to send all of their data, but rather they want to interrogate that data first and only send it when it changes or when it goes above or below certain limits. This is all possible via our MicroPython engine, which allows you to integrate that edge compute into our products. It also has GNSS integrated into the cellular module. Allows for simultaneously being able to have a cellular connection as well as being able to read GNSS coordinates. This allows customers to quickly and easily track when and where their modules are deployed across the globe. We also have our Digi Trust Fence security framework in place on this module. And this module can use and has the capability to insert any 4FF SIM, whether that be commercial or industrial SIMs.
So, Alec, what kind of SKUs are available for XBee LTE Cat 4?
Yeah, so today we have a global SKU available with a dev kit that provides everything you need to develop a full end-to-end product from start to finish. And that includes 6 months of free cellular service in that dev kit. This should allow our customers to quickly and easily develop a full end-to-end solution with our XBee LTE Cat 4 integrated. The other modules that are available are all the same XBee hardware on board, with the difference being whether the SIM is included and what SIM is included. So customers are free if they have their own plans or partnerships to put any SIM in this device. But we do actually have devices that can ship with the SIM already included. This helps to ease a manufacturing burden for our customers and track what modules have what SIM cards inserted. So this is available with the AT&T Global SIM inserted in our Dash 101 SKU and a Verizon North America SIM inserted in our Dash 102 SKU.
So, what kind of component specifications are we looking at with this solution?
Yeah, so this is very similar to many of our other XB cellular solutions. But a few things to note in terms of the specifications is the very large set of LTE bands that are supported on this module. This does provide you one device that can truly be a global module option. It does also have 2G and 3G bands, which can increase that global footprint even more for locations where LTE is not yet deployed across the globe. And then the other thing to note is the data rates of this module. LTE Cat 4 allows a theoretical maximum of up to 150 megabytes per second upload speeds and 50 megabytes per second download speeds with this module.
Okay, so let's talk about Digi XBee Studio a bit.
Yeah, so the main things I want to highlight with XB Studio is really what's new. You may be familiar with our XCTU software. This is really a renowned software that helps customers develop with our XB products. And XB Studio is really the next generation of that. It allows you all of the functionality that you might be familiar with in terms of configuring and managing a device on our Digi XB modules. It is available in Windows, Linux, and Mac OS for development purposes. And it does have support for all of our new LTE XB cellular modules, including our new XB3 Global LTE CAT 4. Key things to note is that XB Studio does offer a new, very easy to use GUI interface, as well as a series of different items like quick actions and integration with Digi Remote Manager, which can really help our customers in that development process.
So, I heard there is a XBee Studio R2 now as well. What's that all about?
Yeah, so this is our newest release of XB Studio. If you already have it downloaded, you can go to the search for updates button, and this will allow you to update to the R2 version. The key here is, as I already previously mentioned, customers who are familiar with our XB lines that, such as our short range or long range XB modules, may be using that with XC2 today. Well, now we have support for most of those modules within XB Studio. So now all of that development can be done on one singular platform. So you don't need to swap between XCTU and XB Studio, but now rather with your XB cellular applications as well as your XB short range and long range applications, you could do all of your development in one tool set with all of those new features there, some of which I mentioned, like our improved user interface, as well as some of those quick setup and quick actions, which can help you in your development process.
Fantastic. So, Alec, let's also talk about Digi Remote Manager as well. Can you walk me through the features included in Remote Manager?
Yeah, so with a cellular module, I think it's really important to have a plan for updating your devices out in the field. Often, embedded devices have been something that customers and industrial industries have really put out there and plan to just set it and forget it. Well, with cellular devices, that can't really be the case. There are a number of different reasons for that, but the main one is truly that the networks are managed by entities like the carriers themselves, such as Verizon, AT&T, and T, and T-Mobile in the US, and then many others globally. So those providers can actually require that you do module firmware updates. So Digi Remote Manager, one of the key functionalities is we give you the option to essentially click one button and deploy to one or hundreds or thousands of devices updates that are required for working on those cellular networks. Those can be required, but they also can just improve how that device functions on the cellular network. On top of that needed functionality of that modem firmware update, we also provide you capabilities to provide firmware updates, do a series of different scheduled operations. This can be updating the configuration of device. This could be updating files within the file system of your devices. And then we allow you a really easy way to see the inventory of your devices and group them, as well as a series of different tools like alarms and file system access and MicroPython access, which allows you in your development, as well as once those devices are already deployed in the field to provide updates. And as with all things in a remote management platform, you expect the process to be easy and seamless there. And with that, we help you scale your operations, right? You can perform tests and do this in house on one singular module, but then you can perform that same button click and deploy this to hundreds or thousands of modules that are deployed already in the field.
So, when it comes to the XB3 cellular solution, what sets it apart from the rest of the pack?
Yeah, so I would say the biggest thing is truly the ease of use and integration. Cellular can be a very complicated thing to integrate into your products, especially if you don't have the right engineers on staff or familiarity with some of the cellular use cases and regulations that are out there today. With the XB Cellular Smart Modem, we provide you really high level value that allows you to use a similar hardware footprint on any of your boards. So you can design in a singular footprint and not worry about what speeds that will potentially be needed because we provide multiple different speeds and capabilities, especially with this new introduction of the LTE Cat 4. And then you also don't have to worry about rewriting your software every time that your application requires maybe different speeds or maybe technologies are changing. And here in the US, networks are being upgraded to 5G. And eventually, LTE will be getting turned off as well, right? So we do have future plans for XB cellular modules to support those 5G networks. And you will not require the software rewriting if you're using our XB API because you're not running straight through to that cellular modem where those commands are likely to change, but rather you are just using our XB API, which will not change no matter what cellular technology you're on there. We also have a series of different features. Maybe your difficulty is not in integrating a cellular module, but you're integrating maybe multiple radios into one product. You want Bluetooth functionality and other functionality built in and edge compute capabilities, as well as GNSS on one single module. This can be a very big headache for customers to integrate all of those together into one product and also to get that product to market on a global scale and go through with certifications. All of these features and those certifications come with our module. And then I would say the biggest thing really is that we're future proofing your design applications. And then into the future, where we're looking at supporting future technologies like 5G RedCap and eRedCap, which will be the replacements in the future for LT Cat 1 and LT Cat 4.
So, component life cycle is a critical design aspect to keep in mind here. So, how does Digi XB address this?
Yeah, so one thing that has been changing within the cellular aspect is originally there came out a spec of LTE Cat 1. And now there's a new spec that has become very popular in China, but there hasn't been really use cases or deployments across the rest of the globe in North America, Europe, Asia, or South America to this point. But we see that there are now some benefits coming where you can have lower power profiles of devices on a technology like an LT Cat 1 biz. You can have still attain those higher speeds of LT Cat 1 and you have a larger global footprint for deploying a device. So now when those cellular modem providers are coming out with those new modules, if you were to use a discrete design or some other provider there for cellular, you would have to redesign your software. You'd have to redesign your hardware. But as Digi's looking at that LTE Cat 1 Biz module, you'll be able to very quickly and easily transition your design from an LTE Cat 1 to an LTE Cat 1 Biz. So that can be one scenario. But there could also be a scenario, in the future where those LTE networks in the US are getting turned off. So now you need to go from LTE Cat 1 Biz to 5G RedCap. And with our new design of XBee Cellular there that will be coming, you will also be able to make that switch. And that will all be on one hardware and one software design. The other key thing here is that with most cellular modules, you actually are surface mounting that module onto your actual device. So as soon as that cellular technology goes obsolete or you come up with a different set of your requirements, your entire device is obsolete. Whereas with an XBee Cellular, because it has the XBee through-hole footprint, you can actually take the previous cellular module off and put on the new one to support either those higher speeds or higher requirements in order to work on cellular networks at all as the previous ones are being turned off.
So, what about Bluetooth, Alec? What kind of applications are a good fit here?
Yeah, so we've seen a lot of different use cases, some that we maybe weren't even aware of as we were adding Bluetooth to our device. But I think the biggest one that we see with our customers is this XBee module is being put inside of a device that can't necessarily be reachable, whether it's that the enclosure can't actually be open to access that module, or whether it's the fact that this device is mounted up high on a ceiling fan in a factory or somewhere where it's unreachable by a technician. So, oftentimes with Bluetooth, the most simple use case that we've seen for our customers is in deployment or troubleshooting of those modules. The Bluetooth capability gives that technician a way to maybe see what's going on with this module and know whether it's functional and what may need to be changed on it without actually physically accessing that XBee itself. So, providing those diagnostics and troubleshooting purposes on site without having access to the device can be huge for our customers. The other thing that we're seeing is out there in the world, there's all kinds of sensors and communication items that are available that were previously not there, and they're getting deployed more and more in the world of IoT and in the industrial world. And this is something where 5 years ago, there may not have been sensors that were monitoring certain items in a factory, but now you have a Bluetooth sensor that can actually go in there and provide that data. And this would provide the XBee a way to access that data without being physically connected to it. We have support for many different protocols on the device, such as GAT and GAP, as well as beaconing, which are very common out there in the industrial world with Eddystone and iBeacon support there as well. So there can be lots of different applications, and I'm sure more and more will come up that we're not even aware of.
So, Alec, what about MicroPython? What benefits does that bring to the table here?
Yeah, so the big thing here is this allows you some edge compute capability to the point of industrial customers used to be putting these devices out there, leave them out there for years on end, and not be changing anything. Well, now there is the need to potentially change, or there is the need to potentially adapt your application to different use cases. The big thing that we're showing here is just a simple slide where we actually took and were able to connect to a temperature and humidity sensor that are on board our development board. And we're taking that and transmitting it via text using MicroPython to send that text. You could also do things like interrogate that data and say, hey, maybe only when this sensor is reading above a certain value, right? I'm monitoring something like a dog that might be staying in a car, and you don't want it to go above a certain value, and you want to be alerted very quickly if it does go above that value. Well, with MicroPython, you have the capability to monitor that, and if it goes above that value, very quickly send alerts via SMS or other methods to your own platforms in order to make sure that you're alerted quickly and you're able to take the action that's necessary.
So, Alec, we also need to think about certifications from various carriers as well, right? So, can you address that a bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So these are certifications that are very common in the cellular world, but they can be a big hiccup for customers that are coming out with their first cellular product or don't necessarily have the expertise on staff of how you go through these certifications. This is actually called end device certification. This is something that's mostly typical within North America, but some other carriers globally have this requirement as well. We typically get standard on our devices, AT&T and T and Verizon certifications, as well as a series of other global certifications like PTCRB, which would allow this device to go in Europe, Asia, or across most of the rest of the world. This can be a big headache when it comes to our customers in terms of if you misspell something or put something on the wrong line in this certification documentation, that can potentially mean product delays. So, with using our XB cellular product, we remove the need for you to actually go through these carrier certifications. As when you build our modem into your device, you're actually carrying through those end device certifications.
So, Alec, what kind of cellular certifications does XB cover?
Yeah, so I've mentioned a few. We have a series of ones that I would say are standards on our products. where you get PTCRB, which is your global certification, as well as for in the US, we get AT&T and T and Verizon. But we are actually also planning for certification with the Canadian carriers, which can sometimes be required, and that includes TELUS, Bell, and Rogers, as well as T-Mobile within the US. We also get a series of regulatory certifications. So these are often required in order to ship a radio device into certain countries. So coming standard once again with our devices, where the bands support it, we also get the regulatory certifications for the FCC, the ISCD in Canada, NOM in Mexico, CE and RED in Europe, as well as UKCA in the United Kingdom, and Japan certification, as well as Anatel certification in Brazil. So there's a long, long laundry list of certifications that we get on our module, and we're able to pass these certifications through to our customer devices.
So, Alec, what about the programming of XBee? We would want to use multi programmer, right?
Yeah, so you're using our tools like XBee Studio as you're developing, and maybe you have one or two devices that you're doing the development with, right? And a tool like XBee Studio is great for something like that. But once you get into a larger manufacturing build, right, you're trying to put together hundreds or maybe even thousands of these and get them ready to go out into the field and be installed by your technicians. You want a quick and easy way to do this. So we actually take advantage of a series of tools that we've created, as well as some physical hardware that we've created that allows you to create a what we would call a master profile. So this is the profile that you want deployed to your XB cellular device. It can include a series of configuration items on the device, as well as any file system things, like if you have a MicroPython on your device, and it can turn on things like Bluetooth on the device so that the device can go out and your technician can have access to that device right away. And you can ensure that all of these are configured and properly done on the device before it goes out so you can have that peace of mind. We do have a multi programmer that allows you to plug in 6 XBs at once. This has support for all variants of the XBee and form factors, including the through hole for XBee Cellular. And this can allow you to program up to 6 XBs in parallel and provide you a very quick and easy way where you don't need to be an XBee or a cellular expert in order to do this programming. You can plug a module in, it will automatically start updating the module. And when the update is complete, it will turn green.
So, Alec, when you integrate an XBee cellular modem, what tools are available to help me on my way?
Yeah, a lot of the stuff I already talked about can be helpful, but another thing that we find very helpful for our customers that really sets Digi apart is we have a full list of libraries, including our C library, which allows you to integrate a module into another device. So oftentimes you're integrating into either a microcontroller or a full embedded device. And customers may be familiar with using things like C or C sharp. And when using an XB Cellular, you can take advantage of our simple library samples to integrate and perform functions without knowing what's going on in the actual XB API frames. So you can be abstracted from that a little bit and you can use very simple code in order to simplify how you integrate our module and be able to integrate extra functionality that you otherwise maybe wouldn't be able to.
Fantastic. Now, Alec, I know from previous Chalk Talks that security is cornerstone to Digi XB. Are there any security elements unique to XB Cellular?
Yeah, so that is true at Digi that we always have a focus on the security aspect of our devices. And I think with cellular, this becomes much more of an even unique use case because oftentimes with many of our XB products, they are their own local network. So there's not necessarily outside access. Where with the cellular device, this can be much more easy for bad actors or people externally to access your device if you don't have it properly locked down. So a few things that we integrate is we actually have a separate secure element chip that is on board our XB PCB that allows our device to understand what is being booted on the device. So when it's booting up every time, it's going to actually check to ensure that the correct XB firmware is on board, And if that has been tampered with, it can actually stop that bad actor from doing anything there. And we also use that secure element to enable us to encrypt data across the network. So as mentioned, these cellular devices can be available externally. So it is key that all communication that you're doing has security in mind and that you're encrypting that data as it goes across that cellular pipe and maybe potentially available to others. We also have the capability on our device to create protected MicroPython files. So you can create your MicroPython application and then actually protect those files so that if anyone does gain physical access to your device, they will still not have your proprietary information and those files that you've created. So they won't necessarily know what your device is doing there. And then last but not least, we do have integration of the ability to have bidirectional TLS communication. So this is essentially TCP socket communication across the internet that can be encrypted bidirectionally, allowing you to communicate with external cloud platforms. And this is something today that is often required to talk to cloud applications that are built in applications like Azure or AWS.
So, Alec, can you walk me through the workflow a bit? How exactly does XBee work?
So, without getting too deep into it, I think the key thing to note with an XBee cellular device in particular is that not only do we have the cellular module, which in this case, as I mentioned at the start, is a Thales PLS 83, we also have a Silicon Labs EFR 32 chip. So, this is where we're doing all of our processing. This is where we're doing things and running things in the background to help you stay connected on the network and to have a reliable connection. But on top of just that, oftentimes our customer's application needs a way of communicating out to their external cloud platforms or their own internal systems. And this can often be very convoluted when doing this over a cellular device, as you have to initiate TCP socket connections, you have to transmit data and format in a certain way. Well, with our XBee device, we can take and make this very simple. So you can always be encapsulating your data and formatting it in a certain way when you're communicating with our XBee device. And then we can decode that and send maybe a long series of AT commands direct from the cellular module in order to establish that cellular connection or that TCP socket connection, transmit that data, and then close that connection back up. For you, it's just one simple command that you're used to sending in, but for us, it may be a series of different commands that allow you to do that securely and to make sure that that data reliably makes it where it needs to go.
Excellent. Well, Alec, I think that's all I have time for today. Thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thank you.
And before we go, you didn't forget to click that link, did you? There you can find even more information about this topic from Digi. For Chalk Talks, I'm Amelia Dalton from eejournal.com. For more Chalk Talks, head on over to the Chalk Talks section of EE Journal. You can't miss it, it's right across the top. Or head on over to YouTube, youtube.com/